The day I was born, my family became addicted, but I was the drug. My mother took her last sober breath the day I was born. That's not poetic exaggeration. It's not metaphor. It's a medical fact, one no doctor could ever explain. She held me in the hospital, blinked back tears, and by the time the sun rose, her blood alcohol level had spiked as if she'd downed half a bottle of vodka. Except she hadn't. No one had brought her a drink. No nurse had made a mistake. And yet, there it was, ethanol in her bloodstream. I was the only newborn in history whose arrival made an entire family intoxicated without touching a single drop. They didn't tell me the truth until I was 17. I was always different, but I thought it meant what kids mean when they say that. Awkward, lonely, maybe a bit too quiet. But people acted strangely around me. My dad, Evan, was functional until I entered a room. Then he got woozy, slurred his speech, smiled too wide, and after I left, the hangover set in. Full force. My older sister June was the worst. She stopped going to school entirely by the time I was 10. She'd lock herself in the basement whenever I was upstairs. "It hurts," she once whispered through the door. "Your presence hurts." My family kept the house dim, quiet, scentless, like a rehab facility that didn't want to be reminded of the world outside. And yet, no alcohol was allowed. None, not even mouthwash. Because it wasn't that kind of addiction. It was me. They called it bioethanogenesis syndrome, a made-up name for a made-up illness that only applied to me. Some doctors were intrigued, others dismissed us outright. But the tests didn't lie. Any prolonged exposure to my physical presence, more than 30 minutes in a small room, caused rising blood ethanol levels in nearby individuals. It was as if I emitted a vapor, a molecular storm, an unseen cloud of chemical intoxication. They never figured out why. My mother believed it was punishment. For what, she never said. My father said I was a miracle with a side effect. June said nothing. She just kept her distance. I didn't touch another human being after age 8. I tried to live a normal life. Homeschooled, masked, gloved. I volunteered at the local animal shelter. Animals, thankfully, didn't get drunk from me. I watched life through glass like a patient in a contagious ward. Then I met Sawyer. He was my first friend. Sawyer was bold in the way you are when you grow up with nothing to lose. His mother was dead. His father was in jail. He lived with his half-uncle, who didn't care what he did or where he went. He saw me standing outside the library one day, watching kids laugh on the lawn. "You look like you're in prison," he said. "I kind of am." He laughed and said, "Cool, I've broken into places harder than this." He was light. He was energy. He didn't care that I wore gloves or wouldn't sit too close. And when I warned him about my condition, he didn't laugh or doubt me. He asked if I glowed in the dark. Our friendship became the only clean thing in my life. He'd sneak into my backyard at night and we'd sit by the shed 6 feet apart, telling ghost stories. He didn't treat me like a freak. He didn't pity me. He made me feel almost human. Then, the summer I turned 17, I started having the dreams. In them, I was surrounded by people, strangers, begging for my touch, screaming to breathe the air around me, and in the center stood Sawyer, his hands shaking, eyes glazed. I woke drenched in sweat, night after night. I thought it was just anxiety. Then I caught my mother stealing one of my used pillowcases and stuffing it into a Ziploc bag. "Mom," I said, "what are you doing?" She looked like a raccoon caught in a spotlight. "You don't understand. It helps. The scent." She took a breath from the bag like it was oxygen. She staggered slightly. My hands went cold. "You're using me." Everything changed after that. I searched the house. Every closet, every drawer. I found secret caches of my things. Old t-shirts, combs, tissues, all tucked away like contraband, all scented with me. They were inhaling me. June wasn't avoiding me. She was withdrawing. My father wasn't kind. He was high. And my mother wasn't caring. She was consuming. I confronted them that night, all of them, in the living room. "You're addicts," I said. They didn't deny it. My mother cried. My father apologized. June just looked at me and said, "You feel like a warm blanket dipped in fire. You're poison and comfort in the same breath." "I'm your son," I shouted. "Not a drug." "No," my father said quietly. "You're both." I ran to Sawyer's house. I needed someone real. When he opened the door, his face twisted. Guilt? Relief? Something between. "I need to crash," I said. He let me in. He didn't ask questions. I stayed on the couch, too wired to sleep. At 3 a.m., I got up for water and found him in his room, inhaling my t-shirt, the one I'd left in his backpack by accident 2 weeks earlier. His eyes were wide, his face slick with sweat. He looked sick and euphoric. "No," I whispered. He turned slowly. "I'm sorry." he said. I didn't want it to happen, but once I smelled it, I couldn't stop. I need it. I backed away. You knew what I was. I didn't. He swallowed hard. At first I just liked being near you. Then I started feeling better, happier, sharper. I stopped needing coffee. I stopped needing anything. You were enough. I fled. The next day I told my parents I was leaving. They didn't stop me. My mother handed me a duffel bag already packed. I knew this day would come, she said, trembling. It's harder than quitting heroin. You don't understand how you make people feel. Good? I snapped. Whole, she whispered. I left with one bag, $200 in cash, and a bus ticket to nowhere. I drifted. I found a city where no one knew my name and rented a basement room from a blind woman named Dolores. She liked that I didn't make noise. I liked that she couldn't smell me. I wore a mask, gloves, stayed distant. I worked at night, janitorial gigs, remote inventory jobs. I never stayed long. Still, word spread. People began lingering near my building. A man tried to follow me home. Another woman paid a child to touch my hand and report back. I left again. 3 months later, I got an email. From June. They're dying, Mom and Dad. Withdrawal is killing them. You need to come back. I didn't respond. Then a second message. If you don't come, they'll find someone else. Sawyer's already here. He offered. He said he'd donate bone marrow. But we both know what they really want. I returned to Carrion Hollow. The house was darker than I remembered. Hollow. Like a tomb. My mother lay on the couch. Thin, sunken, barely alive. My father was gone. Sawyer was sitting by her side. He looked up at me, eyes red. She begged me, he said. Just a little exposure, like methadone. Just enough to take the edge off. I stared at him. He stared back. I didn't know what I was doing, he said, but now I do, and I want more. I turned to leave. He grabbed my wrist. Don't you understand? He hissed. You're more than a person. You're the cure to human suffering. We could bottle you, share you, end depression, end pain. You're not meant to hide. You're meant to be a miracle. He squeezed my wrist, and something inside me snapped.